in the world of centuries ago, in the old world of centuries ago, certain kingdoms promulgated acts which constituted not merely a serious crime, but the most heinous crime of treason if a king's subject offered comfort or food or shelter to the king's enemy. The rules and legal systems of certain republics also followed the same types of norms in order to ensure that their state, their countries, their sovereigns would be protected against the enemies of those states. Under the given circumstances, it is probably also justified that if an enemy state gives shelter to a person who is also per se an enemy of the other state, affected by the heinous acts of the enemy, the state, the victimized state, or the state of the victims, are justified in striking down that offender. So was it most probably in the case of the state of Israel, that Israel tried to hunt down its enemies, even who were harboring, who took shelter and was treated well by other states which had been calling for Israel's destruction. Only last Sunday, beginning of the week according to the original calendar, I spoke out against the heinous crimes committed by Israel's enemies on Israel's soil in killing many young people, citizens of Israel, who were between the ages of 10 years and 20 years. Israel was justified in tracking and hunting down the leaders of those groups which carried out heinous acts against the children of Israel. This was in a neighboring state very recently, and even more recently in another neighboring state, the state which is considered to be the staunchest enemy of the state of Israel. The very state which is dictated and tyrannized by a so-called supreme head, a fanatic, even a psychopath, an enemy of the women of his own country, an enemy of the children of his own country. This enemy state of Israel was harboring one of the most notorious and heinous leaders of the terrorist group known as Hamas, or also called Hamas. Although it is not clear whether Israel was answerable for his death, yet if Israel were answerable, Israel would be fully justified, befitting the laws of the nations, the international law, and Israel's domestic laws. At the same time, it is decisive to recall the facts that those states which are enemies of Israel and trying to bring down the government of Israel and even to destroy the people of Israel ought not to go unpunished. Alas, they are not being punished enough. Tragically enough, the innocent countrymen and women, babies and children, the elderly and the infirm, are being far more severely punished due to the offence committed by such offenders. The act of terrorism, or I should say the acts of terrorism, committed by Hamas on October the 7th of the preceding year, precisely the year 2023, has not brought freedom for the people of Palestine, or even Judea and Samaria, but brought severe destruction, deaths of almost 40,000 people. Even those who did not want such terrorist acts being committed on the soil of Israel. Too many children have become invalid, infirm, whose limbs had to be mutilated. They're lacking the needful treatments because this terrorist group, Hamas, is fighting a war against the legitimized state of Israel. Their acts are hindering their own people from being treated properly by medics, by medical experts, by doctors. Their own people are being led to the starvation of death. Their own people are perishing, lacking the needful human care which could be granted to them if they did not prevent the state of Israel from carrying out humanity in the desperate need of the desperately needful people. They are still trying to bring down the state of Israel, knowing fully well that this is beyond their ability, beyond their power. Causing deaths among the citizens of Israel can only bring deaths upon their own people. even sufferings to the gravest instant beyond the comprehension of humankind. This is, however, not merely in the state of Israel. Sudan is so desperately been in need of humanitarian aid. Yet their own people fighting against each other are not merely causing deaths and destruction, but they are exposing their own people to the brink of starvation, even inviting famine into their own country. Alas, the world community is pitying the people, the victims, but are not able to come forward and act in ensuring that humanity is properly administered in those countries, in those parts of the world. Hardly 2 years ago, the devastations caused by natural catastrophes, even earthquakes, in places like Turkey and Syria, have left scars, deep scars upon the people's minds and the countries themselves. Still, too many people are without homes and houses. Too many people are suffering. Too many people are facing the cruel pangs of hunger. Too many people have become invalid. It is not necessary for the other people, or I should say peoples of the world, to invite graver catastrophes, graver calamities, by causing others to become invalid or even to die. The wars have not merely invalidated people or caused too many deaths, but they have also left too many people at the very state of grave and serious poverty, which is likely to lead to those peoples becoming human slaves in all practical senses. These people are tempted to leave their own territories, their own countries and communities, and likely to fall into the trap of human traffickers who are too greedy to take advantage of such situations. It is our duty not merely to discourage wars and warlike situations, but it is our duty, moral ones if not legal ones, also to discourage human trafficking, illegal slavery of every type, wherever and whenever taking place. We, the citizens of the world, the global citizens, are not merely called upon to come forward but also remain duty-bound to ensure that wars end, people have better lives, but also to ensure at the same time that human trafficking and illegal slavery are discouraged until they come to a total end. We remain answerable before our fellow global citizens if we fail to carry out our moral duties, if not legal ones, ensuring that our fellow global citizens are not exposed to the catastrophes as well as the heinous crimes of human trafficking and illegal slavery. We need to ensure that our fellow global citizens, like ourselves, live in peace and with all due dignity, befitting humanity as a whole. Therefore, I call upon you, my fellow global citizens, to come forward and act, to speak out, speak up, and speak out relentlessly until such evil practices cease. I even beg you most humbly, with all due respect and regards, to act and not to keep quiet, not merely speaking out against certain states, but also speaking out against the grave inhumanity leading to such grave injustice in various parts of the world. Natural catastrophes are bad enough. Let us not put fuel to the fire to increase the fire, but let us do all we can to extinguish the fire in ensuring that peace based upon natural justice and equity prevail over the violence caused by our human errors and human folly. Let us reintroduce ourselves to the world of natural justice and equity, while encouraging others to come forward. We can bring our world a step further towards a better future for all of us. But if all of us collectively and unitedly act with the goal of achieving peace based upon natural justice and equity for all, let us not keep quiet, but speak up, speak out relentlessly until this goal is attained and achieved. I thank you in anticipation for your kind understanding and the needful response, while I remain in service of the victims, even as your most humble servant. Bidding you a solemn night and the protection of the same Creator who created all of us, even the victims. I remain at your service, while bidding you a solemn night from my country.